Yep. So the PowerPoint isn't showing up there. Can you, see what happens when you do that?
You know what? Crystal's got the PowerPoint. It's almost 3:00. I think we should go with that.
Weird.
Let me just try.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's odd, but all good. I will jump off stage and leave it up to you guys.
Let me just make sure that, because can you see it on mine?
If anybody's joined us so far, just give us a second. We're just troubleshooting some technical difficulties, but we'll be all set up here in just a minute.
Yes, we can see.
All right, I'm going to leave it to you guys. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sammy.
Thank you, Sammy. All right. All right, let's get started here. I'm just trying to let's see here. I can no longer share. Stop sharing. Okay. There we go. All right. All right. Well, let's get going. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for the Art of Selling Without Showing with Sara Jones. My name is Crystal Burek, and I'm the Pre-Sales Industry Analyst at Consensus, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. Let's see here. DEMOFEST is presented by Consensus, and Consensus is an intelligent demo automation software that helps scale pre-sales with interactive video demos. You can learn more about at goconsensus.com or view the automated micro demo at the link in the Docs tab to the right of your screen. Consensus is proud to provide this event for free to all attendees. However, we would like to invite each of you to donate to our company's humanitarian organizations if you'd like to. You can learn more about this and donate by visiting the DEMOFEST Gifts Back booth in our Expo Hall in the Booths tab at the or at the link in the Docs tab to the right of your screen. We invite you all to join us in the DEMOFEST community on Discord. Our community is where you can connect with speakers, get exclusive access to content, events, and where the conversation will continue long after the DEMOFEST event has ended here. We encourage all attendees to join us and so many others. You can join the community at the link in the Docs tab. Okay, so we encourage you to participate in today's session, and on the right side of your console, you can see a few ways to engage with us throughout the session. The chat function will allow you to engage with us as well as other attendees. Throughout the session, you may see a few polls, and we encourage you to participate as your feedback is important to us. And our speaker will be taking questions from the audience at the end of the session, but we encourage you to ask questions at any time through the Q&A box to your right. If at any time you're having technical difficulties, head to the gear at the bottom of your page and of your screen, and here you will see a help document to help troubleshoot common issues. Okay, and now I would like to introduce our speaker. Sara joined Zendesk in late 2021 as a global VP for pre-sales after a 24-year career with SAP. While at SAP, she fine-tuned her skills as a pre-sales individual contributor for 9 years, and then moved into leadership, gaining experience in all market segments across multiple industries and different lines of business. Interestingly, she also led a 3-year transformational assignment in China. Sara's passionate about the pre-sales role and elevating the brand within the tech world. And with that, I will turn the rest of the time over to you, Sara, and I'll stop sharing and pull up your slides.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Hey, I see some messages in the chat. Is it your birthday?
It is my birthday.
Well, congratulations. Happy birthday to Crystal. What a great day to celebrate, where you get 4,500 people wishing you happy birthday. I am thrilled to be here today. I am a career lifer in pre-sales, which is the best job in tech, as Crystal said. And for the last year and a half, I have been leading the team at Zendesk after that 20 plus year career at SAP. So my pre-sales life has taken me through 12 years of individual contributions and 20 years in leadership. I've experienced multiple lines of business, solutions, segment sizes, industries and geographies, including USA, UK, and China. Today, I'm going to chat to you about the art of selling without showing. So pre-sales is normally associated with the guys who do the demo. Are we having a little?
I'm having trouble. I'm trying to see if I can get this to share. Are you able to see that now?
Yes, but it's coming up in speaker view.
How about this?
Still in speaker view.
Oops. Let's see here.
The way we had it before worked perfectly.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. How's this?
That is perfect. Awesome. Oh, we just lost it again.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Yep, I'm rolling with the art of selling without showing. Yes, there we go. So we are normally associated with the guys who do the demo, but the role is so much more. And when done effectively, the demo is actually only a really small percentage of what we do when we engage with our customers. So next slide then, Crystal. So exactly. Now, how can I close this without a demo? That is the big question for today. And that is what I'm going to take you through, is some of the tools and techniques, tactics, activities that I have found super effective leading up to a demo and sometimes preventing a demo full stop. So the next slide, the very first goal that we have is to gain trust, to display empathy, get stakeholder and vision alignment. Once you have these, it is so much easy to ask for more, to push back when necessary, and build fantastic relationships and partnerships with your customer. So empathy is obviously the art of aligning, feeling like you're walking within your customer's shoes. And once you've got that active listening underway, you're demonstrating some of that understanding, you're beginning to get a little bit of insight into the customer. That's when the trust and credibility relationship starts to grow. So let's start with some of the tactics then. So next slide. Let's start with my very favorite part of customer interactions, which is discovery. So when this is done effectively, you can uncover a whole wealth of information while building that trust, respect, credibility, and the relationship. But notice the operative word in that sentence is effectively. Too often I have seen discovery treated as a, what do I need to check the box with to do my feature function demo, rather than what do I need to be collecting now to really understand what this customer is doing as a part of this process with looking at technology, looking for a solution to solve a problem. So that's the operative word, an effective discovery. So it's not about finding out what buttons you need to push for a feature function demo. It is actually trying to understand what the customer is hoping to achieve, what are they looking to solve, what are they hoping to improve, what are they looking to change? And using those open-ended questions with your customer, it can help you get there. The most important thing to remember is that you have one mouth and two ears, so the customer should be doing 80% of the talking. There are some great goals for discovery. You want to be able to uncover their current state, as this helps to identify the big problems they are trying to solve. Clarify and validate the pain And while you're going along that journey, try and collect any metrics that you can to help you build your business case. Make sure you are stack ranking these pain points, as you need to know where to focus your efforts when you do actually have to build the demo. Help me understand how these problems rank against your priorities is a great question. Clever use of language also helps here. You want those open-ended questions. The use of yes and, or tell me more about, or why does that matter? Why is this important? I have a rule of 5 for asking why. And if I can get why asked 5 times, I know that I'm getting down an onion layer at a time each time I do that. Help me understand what impacts would this have? All of these types of questions, this type of language really does help you to drill down to what your customer is hoping to do as a result of spending money on software. Towards the end of a discovery session, it is time for you to talk a little bit more. So you want to refer back to all the information you have collected and briefly summarize what you heard. The good old tell, show, tell tactic, correct? So thank you for your time and sharing today. I'm really grateful for everything that you shared. And I would just like to replay back what I heard just to make sure I didn't miss anything or I didn't misinterpret anything. You told me XYZ. I heard XYZ. This is the chance for your customer now to clarify any points, even better if they can offer you additional elements of detail that they hadn't got to at that point. And it also gives them confidence that you are going to be a great partner to solve their problems because you really listened, they felt heard and understood. Lastly, you can close out discovery with saying, okay, based upon what I heard, I'd like to tell you about Acme Inc. that is doing XYZ with Zendesk. And as a result, they are seeing the following benefits. This is giving them value to enable them to do this. So you've spent your time in that discovery session by doing a huge amount of listening and taking notes and asking some great questions. You played it back to them at the end. You got the validation that what they told you was accurate. But you've also thrown in a little teaser for the next stage in the cycle of the interaction about the fact that they're not the first to do this. There are other companies out there that are using your solution, your software, your services to be able to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. So there's a comfort level there. All right, what else can you do without a demo? Let's move on to another tactic. So journey mapping, this is a favorite activity of mine, one of my favorites. It's a customer-centric tool used to gain insights into the experience of the customer's customer as they interact with a product, service, or brand. It is visually representing the entire customer journey from the initial touch points to the final outcome or the goal. It is a great interactive and collaborative method to align your customers on their customer's journey with them. It's a great method, very effective to use during discovery or as a kickoff for a design thinking workshop. So the process of a journey mapping involves the following steps. So first off, you want to define the purpose. So clearly identify what the objective is of this particular journey map. So it could be for a specific use case, for example, to improve customer satisfaction, to identify specific pain points, or to uncover opportunities for innovation. You need to be able to identify some personas so that you can keep that real human being element front and center as part of journey mapping. So this is, and you can create multiple personas to identify the different types of customers our customer uses. And this helps to create a way more targeted and accurate journey map as you go through that journey. You need to be able to map the stages. So you divide that journey into stages representing key milestones or touch points. Usually you're going to be incorporating things like awareness, consideration, purchase, and post-purchase or after-sales service. The number and the naming of those stages may vary depending on the nature of your customer's business. Excuse me. Once you've identified those touch points, you map them out, and you map out the different channels where the customer is interacting with that product or service. This can include like websites, social media, physical, call centers, any other relevant points of interaction. And at each one of these, you're gathering data and insights from various different sources. So for example, customer surveys, interviews, analytics, support logs, feedback channels, wherever. This data helps you to be able to map that onto the journey map with actual experiences and pain points. And then you are visualizing that journey by creating the flowchart or the infographic, much as you can see here. Your best friend for journey mapping is definitely a packet of Post-it pads and a marker. So you can use the journey map then to identify different patterns and trends and areas where improvements can be made, and you can then prioritize the different pain points. This is a fantastic collaborative tool that you can work with your customer in that sense of togetherness, to be able to really clarify what the pain points are. And very, very often, when I've been doing this at least, you're uncovering additional areas of opportunity. Okay, let's move on to the next element. And this kind of leads into the next one, because journey mapping and design thinking in my book go hand in hand. Design thinking is another collaborative and iterative session that uses the principles and methods of design thinking to solve problems, generate additional ideas, and to drive innovation. So this is a great example of where you want to be able to help you, where your customers very early, maybe very early in trying to establish what they need to do, if anything. So, you know, that you can really open up the possibilities by using a design thinking workshop. It's best performed when you have participants from different parts of the customer's organization with diverse backgrounds and bring different perspectives to the table. Egos and job titles need to stay outside the room for a design thinking workshop. You want everyone on the same page. It usually is constructed using a series of structured activities and exercises, and they're specifically set up to stimulate creativity and look at a human-centered approach to problem solving. So there's basically 6 steps that you go through in a design thinking workshop. So empathizing is where you're engaging in activities to develop a deep understanding of the needs, motivations, and behaviors of the people that you're designing for. Defining then is taking us through taking the insights gathered to be able to reframe that problem in different ways that then focuses on the human experience and identifies underlying needs. Once you've done this, it is so much easier to get into an ideation phase, where this is a lot of fun. There's a lot of very fun methods and tips and tricks within design thinking to be able to brainstorm within a constructive framework and other creative ideas to be able to generate a wide range of ideas and potential solutions. And a lot of the time you can have wild and wacky off the wall ideas, but once they're brainstormed and talked about, you can often bring them into a mainstream sort of thinking. It had such fun doing design thinking workshops throughout my career, because the emphasis here on the ideate phase is on quantity. So you're trying to get a free-flowing stream of ideas coming out, and it's amazing then what else you can uncover as additional opportunity to sell to. Prototyping, and prototyping can be as simple as drawing something up on a flip chart or using Lego bricks to build something. It can be so much fun just to be able to try and visualize what it is that you've done as a part of that ideation process. And then you can test it back out with target audience or end users. And this is often where a lot of the hilarious outputs come from. Our role as pre-sales individuals throughout that is to facilitate, to provide guidance and encourage that wild and wacky collaboration and ensure that participants follow the process. Timeframes, in my experience, have gone from just a few hours to several days worth of workshops, depending on the complexities of the problems and desired outcomes. Historically, design thinking workshops came about in product development and engineering, but having seen it very successfully used over the last 10 years or so in pre-sales, in the selling motion, I definitely think that this is a differentiator if you can identify some of those tips and tricks that allow you to be able to do it. They could often provide huge insights into an organization and uncover much, much more than if just particularly focusing on one use case, a department, or a problem. Okay, let's move on to my next tactic, which is storytelling, and storytelling in the business context. So storytelling is using stories to communicate and connect with the audience, but in the business context. So it involves presenting information, ideas, and messages in the form of a narrative that engages and persuades listeners, whether they are employees or customers or customers, or any other stakeholders. Effective business storytelling goes beyond simple facts and figures. It taps into the power of storytelling to evoke emotions, create memorable experiences, and convey complex concepts in a relatable and understandable manner. By framing the information within that narrative structure, it helps people make sense of the content and relate it to their own experience and values. So think in terms of Hollywood. Think about the last movie you watched. The amount of information we get in a 2-hour time period watching that movie is even more amazing is when they have to distill that down into a 90-second trailer to entice you to watch that movie. So think about that for a minute. So in some movies encompass many generations of a life story. You know, you're starting off with a baby, with moving on to grandparents, or you're maybe doing something in hours worth of experience, weeks and months, and you're watching that in a very condensed time frame, and you're held enraptured for the 90 minutes, the 2 hours of that movie. I'm even more amazed when I'm watching the movie trailers, and when I started doing some storytelling training, this is what I was relating to, is watching the movie to see what do you take from the movie to entice you in that trailer so that you're really excited to go watch that movie. And that's kind of the mindset and mentality that we need to be able to take to our demos or to that customer engagement, is how would you put that into a trailer? Right? What's the snippets of the really good things that you want to put into that trailer? And therefore, storytelling is so difficult because of those principles, right? But you do remember the best movies you've ever watched, even if you saw them 20 or 30 years ago. They grab you in your head and in your heart, and also your gut and your groin, right? There's 4 emotional areas of your body. And if you can connect with all 4 of those, you have won your customer through storytelling. So some basic key elements and some of the benefits then is stories have the natural ability to capture attention and engage listeners. So by incorporating the storytelling techniques, such as compelling characters, very vivid descriptions, plot development, those business messages become more captivating and more memorable. Storytelling also helps to make complex ideas understandable. You can simplify those concepts by presenting them in a familiar manner. Use metaphors, analogies, there we go, that's easy for me to say, and relatable situations. It really does help people to be able to grasp difficult ideas and retain information much more effectively. You can build emotional connection, and this is the most powerful thing in my mind with storytelling. Stories do have the power to evoke emotions, create empathy. And so by tapping into those emotions, business stories can establish a deeper connection with the audience, which helps to foster trust, loyalty, and engagement. It is easy to win the head. You can do that easy with a demo. You can do that easy with anything else we're talking about. But stories capture the heart, the gut, and the groin. It also helps to humanize business messages and make them more relatable. So you can share personal experiences, anecdotes, or case studies. And this enhances authenticity and provide real life examples that help to resonate back. It's also very persuasive. So by the time you're getting to an end of a cycle and you're trying to build that business case, you get executive alignment, you're trying to now get to the, yes, we're going to sign with you. You really do want to create a compelling narrative so that it inspires action and it allows you to be able to leave a very memorable brand of yourself. So through consistent storytelling, businesses can establish a very unique story about themselves that sets themselves apart. You can set yourself apart by those business stories and leave that lasting impression. So a few tips. Make sure you understand your audience. So you want to tailor the stories to resonate with your target audience's interests, values, and experiences. Make sure that you've identified a key message or a takeaway that you want to convey through your story and then structure that accordingly. And use a narrative structure. So you want to craft that story with a clear beginning, middle, and end, have relatable characters. It's always useful if you have a challenge or a conflict, because then you can provide the resolution or the key takeaway for that. Keep it concise and focused. You don't need a whole lot of details or tangents that you're going off on. Incorporate visuals and multimedia of the multimedia type. You can use video or interactive elements to make it much more engaging and impactful. And the number one thing to do is practice and refine. Practice and refine, practice and refine. This is a skill that does improve with practice. Get feedback from your peers, refine them, and adapt your stories based on the response and engagement from your audience. Remember, effective business storytelling is about connecting with people on that emotional level. You're trying to get further from the head and reach the heart, the gut, and the groin. You want to convey that message in a memorable way that will inspire action. All right, next tactic is whiteboarding. And I love whiteboarding. Many times during in-person meetings where I've gone to the whiteboard to explain something, I've had the customer come up to collaborate with me. It also leaves a lasting impression of your top message, your win themes or takeaways that stay present long after you have moved on to new topics or even left the building. You and your customer can sketch diagrams, write notes, draw flowcharts, or illustrate various aspects of a problem or solution. This acts as a shared canvas that allows all of you in the room to visualize thoughts and communicate ideas much more effectively. That visual representation of ideas can enhance comprehension and make complex concepts much easier to understand. You can draw connections and patterns, and you can start to identify different relationships between different elements. Whiteboarding also encourages active participation and collaboration. And the more that you can bring your customers into the conversation and into that interaction, the easier it is to earn trust, build credibility, solidify partnerships. There's real-time discussion that goes on around a whiteboard. You're not relying on props with PowerPoint slides, so your credibility, it goes through the roof, because now you're pulling things obviously from your head when you're doing things on the fly on the whiteboard. It allows for idea generation and real-time problem solving. It's a much more engaging environment. It is an iterative and dynamic process. And since they're not permanent, you can easily modify them, erase them, redefine them, or even start all over from scratch. Ideas can evolve, solutions can be adjusted, and different scenarios can be explored in this way. Very complex things that you're trying, like a technical infrastructure, for example, when you're building that up on a whiteboard, it makes the end result seem so much simpler because you've done it in levels and layers, and you've brought your customer along on each side of that journey. The physical act of drawing on a whiteboard can stimulate creative thinking, and also you can explore unconventional ideas. It's amazing some of the conversations I've had with customers once we're both at the whiteboard doing different things on a diagram that we have, or a flow chart, or something that we have put up on that whiteboard for thinking visually and spatially. I have effectively used whiteboards for lots of different things. I've used it for brainstorming sessions to generate and organize ideas, create mind maps, or visualize different approaches to a problem. I've used it for design discussions to be able to sketch out user interfaces, system architectures, workflows. And I have also used it for problem solving, to break it down into smaller components, to map out dependencies, and then identify potential solutions. Overall, whiteboarding is a very valuable tool for facilitating collaboration, promoting visual thinking, and enhancing communication. There are also a ton of digital whiteboard tools out there that allow you to do this virtually. Try Miro, Jamboard, Lucid Spark, Liveboard, Stormboard, or Show Me. Just some examples of the great tools that are out there. Okay, let's move on to the next tactic I've got here, which is a provocative point of view. So there's a phrase there: the more I am in pre-sales, the less I care about demos. And those of you who are active on LinkedIn, you might have seen this post a few months ago. And I was amazed at how this provocative point of view went viral very, very quickly. I had over 200,000 impressions on this, 240 comments, 101 reposts, and almost 2,000 reactions. So the 101 reposts was the one I was most intrigued about. And that's because I obviously touched a nerve that people were then amplifying that within their own networks. And this is also the basis of this presentation today, is the more I am in pre-sales, the less I care about demos, because everything that I've talked about so far is often way more important than the demo. So provocative based selling, I guess you could put under the provocative point of view. I think there's a lot of great points here on this table. I think the main point is that you should come to your customer with a point of view. It doesn't necessarily need to be provocative, but answering your customer's questions with things like, it depends, or yes, we can do that. Come to your customer with the solution. They want to know that you know what you're doing. So actually show up with that solution, with that point of view about what you think that they should do. It's a great starting point for any other conversations that you have. There's some great points here on this slide, beginning with business cases, starting at executive level dialogues, really provoking some sort of emotion right at the get-go. But I just wanted to make that point that I posted something about pre-sales and less demos, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my goodness, I really have touched a nerve here. There's a lot of people who think the same. All right, let's talk a little bit more about some of the more strategic stuff. So this is getting into alignment. So stakeholder and or strategic alignment is crucial for the success of any project. And we shouldn't just be leaving this to the sales guys. When you get to common understanding, and it's common understanding with your stakeholders, with the people that you have been interacting with the customer, then you get to commitment towards your desired outcome. So very early on, you need to divide and conquer with your AEs, is identify key stakeholders. And these are individuals or groups who have a very vested interest in the project or initiative. So you need to be able to determine what their level of influence is, where that level of interest, and the potential impact that they can have on your project. You need to take the time to understand each stakeholder's perspective, goals, and concerns. And this is not only just from that professional point of view, but stalk them out on LinkedIn and see, what do they follow? What are they interested in? Where are some of the common things that you can align with outside of trying to get a deal done? This does also help you to identify areas of agreement and look for any potential areas of conflict. For example, has my key stakeholder just spent a ton of time working with my competitor? You've got to work extra hard if you're going to see that on a LinkedIn profile. You need to be able to clearly articulate the purpose and the goals and expected outcomes of the project to all stakeholders. You need to make sure that objectives are very well defined, measurable, and aligned. Basically, what you're trying to get to is a common understanding and a focus for all involved. You want to make sure that you're all on the same page as you move through a customer interaction. And that shouldn't just be the salesperson's responsibility. If you have a culture of open and transparent communication from the whole sales teams, then you can encourage your stakeholders, your customer stakeholders, to share thoughts, concerns, and ideas, and open you up to decision makers and the budget. You can also create dedicated channels for info sharing, for regular feedbacks and updates. You can post presentations and even demo vignettes. Yes, I use the demo word. And this helps to build trust and promote collaboration among stakeholders. If you invest the time and effort in building strong relationships with your key stakeholders, you can identify those shared interests and common ground to foster the collaboration. This greatly together and aligns efforts towards that common goal. Stakeholder alignment, strategic alignment, it is an ongoing process. It requires ongoing effort and attention, but by actively engaging and fostering that open communication and addressing concerns, you can work towards achieving that alignment and increasing the likelihood of project success. All right, just a couple of tactics left now. The next one is customer references and use cases. These are so valuable to showcase products and services, and we can demonstrate the effectiveness of our solution now through real-world examples. Who doesn't like getting a reference for something? Who doesn't like being told, hey, I love using this product, I love using this service? It also makes me want to feel a little bit more loyal when I'm hearing about my friends who are using something that I'm getting a good value from as well. What you need to do is look for your customers who are willing to share their success stories and also act as references. Hopefully, you have a ton of these satisfied customers that you can request their permission to use testimonials. And try and get a balance of testimonials in the form of quotes that you can put into PowerPoint presentations, or videos, even if they're willing to do a 3 to 5 minute video, or written statements. Even better if you can do a full-blown case study that pulls in some of the metrics, the from to that they achieved with using your solution. You want to be able to identify some customers who've achieved exceptional results, and then you can develop those in-depth case studies. So they usually include a description of the challenge, the solution that was provided, measurable outcomes or benefits, and use that data and metrics wherever possible to substantiate those claims. Hopefully, the goal is you collect these references and case studies from a diverse range of industries, company sizes, geographic locations, and then this also helps to solidify the versatility and broad applicability of your solution. Have them in lots of different formats. Like I said, 3 to 5 minute videos resonate very well. And on top of traditional white papers and PDFs, you could try using flashy infographics or even TikTok. Even better if you have a handful of these customer stories memorized and you use your whiteboard skills to write it up from memory, or you're weaving those stories into your discovery conversations. This helps you to build your credibility. It helps to answer objections and provide real-world examples of a success in the early stages of customer interactions. In addition, you can also use these to help promote any webinars that you're running. I know Presales are often involved in a lot of marketing webinars, lunch and learns, things like that. Customer testimonials and references are invaluable for those. But remember, it is crucial to respect customers' privacy, and you must obtain their consent before sharing any sensitive or proprietary information. All right, we're into the home stretch. Talking numbers, aligning the metrics. This is a huge thing for us to be able to collect and then validate back. This is where you're ensuring that the solutions that we're providing are designed and optimized to contribute to the achievement of what the customer's specific business goals and objectives are. If we are aligning to the key performance indicators that matter most to the customer, we can then build a rock solid business case and start to move away from the do nothing competitor. Once we've gathered all the information about goals, targets, and strategic priorities, we can ask lots of questions during discovery about specifics. But do your homework before you get there. There's a wealth of information through publicly available info in financial reports, LinkedIn, and the World Wide Web. Because you have got such a great relationship with your stakeholders, you can also use the specific metrics that they want to use for this particular project success. These KPIs could vary depending on the industry and unique needs, but some examples include revenue growth, customer sat, market share, cost reduction, operational efficiency. So if you can identify the customer's current performance against those identified metrics, and you can analyze historical data, conduct some audits, any other assessment method to gain those insights. Now you have a clear understanding of historical data, clear understanding of the goals and KPIs. Now here's where we can align our solution to the benefits that they're going to receive by implementing something from us. This is absolutely priceless to build that rock solid business case. That do nothing competitor that we face way too often goes out the window if you can prove it out through data. And collecting that data goes a long way to eliminating that particular foe. Make sure you also work with professional services or the partner after the deal is done, because now you need to be able to track and measure the progress against those business metrics for the customer, because you do actually need to prove out that the efficiencies and metrics you promised do actually get delivered. All right, if all of these tactics still don't convince your customer to buy, then it is time for the demo. Next slide, please, Crystal. This should be the cherry on the top. So in all seriousness, the demo is the proof of everything you completed to this point, right? This means that the demo is personalized. It's targeted to the specific challenges that your customer is facing. It ties back to their pains and issues, has relevant use cases, reference points, and shows them expected return on value from specific metrics and data points. So next slide, please. In summary, we covered a lot. There's a lot of different things that you can do to sell without getting to the demo. Earn the trust, be empathetic, get stakeholder alignment, get clarity of customer vision, and path it to achieve it with our solution. Use discovery, journey mapping, design thinking workshops, whiteboarding, storytelling, provocative points of view, current customer references and case studies, and metrics. Whew, that was a whistle. A whistle-stop tour through the art of selling without showing. And at this point, I am ready for any questions.
Excellent. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, if you have any questions for Sarah, you can go ahead and put them over in the Q&A section of the on your sidebar to the right.
Oh, well, I like some of the things in the chat.
Yes.
Yes, who needs slides when you have a great story? I like that comment.
All right.
Oh, thanks about the great customer journey map. That was good. A large whiteboard that was a great investment for the home office. Yes, great thing to have right behind you. Demo Pro is great too. Great, amazing analogy. I'm not sure which one that was. Maybe it was the movie one. And asking questions through, ask questions through the Q&A tab. Yes, I was just looking at chat. Okay.
All right, let's see here. Okay, great. Here we've got some coming in. Let's see. John is asking, how do you educate your AE of this approach when they're very keen to have you demo in the first 1 or 2 sessions?
That is the $1 million question, John. So this goes to making sure that you have a very good relationship with your AE. I think sometimes when you are working with a new AE, especially if you've got some credibility from having closed some deals, it's really helpful if you can say, hey, I want to try a different approach here. I want to have a meeting with some stakeholders because I want to take discovery in a different direction, right? So, and then during discovery, if you're trying some new tactic at that point, and then you can prove it out with the AE in stages. This is the internal selling is the hardest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The internal selling at any company, any organization, any department that I've worked in is way harder than getting your customer to do this. Because at the end of the day, your customer really does want to feel like they're being listened to and heard. Whereas all the AE is trying to do is maximize quota. So and sometimes when you say, yeah, I know you want to do the demo, but I actually want to put the brakes on that because I want to come in and do some discovery. I want to be doing some different things before we get to the demo. I think the proof is if you've had a couple of rounds of these with customer engagements where it's either accelerated the deal, it elevated the deal size, it has really made a difference in the customer relationship and the outcome, that when you can prove it, and you only have to do that with 1 or 2 AEs, and then the word spreads. It's an uphill battle to start with.
All right, thank you. Question here from Matt. What is the secret sauce for knowing which of these tactics to leverage and when?
That is another great question. I nearly always start with discovery. I think that everyone likes to be heard and listened to, right? So if you can get to the point where you are listening to them and it's active listening, so they can see that you're listening, that opens up the opportunity for so much more to come. So I nearly always start with discovery.
Great. Okay, Tom is asking, I love whiteboarding when on site, but I sometimes struggle to get engagement for whiteboarding when remote. Any tips to help with this?
Oh, no, I would love to open this up to everyone else because it's the same struggle that I face with remote whiteboarding. Out of all the tactics I've used and talked about today in the digital world, I would say that design thinking and whiteboarding are the 2 hardest to do remotely. They're both great when you're on site. I think the easier the tool is to use, I like Jamboard. I think it's so easy. You don't have to give an education. You don't have to run an enablement session before doing that with your customer. It's very intuitive. I think that helps. I think that being willing to be silent and not fill the pauses. So if you say, we're going to have 3 minutes now to put the whiteboards up, the sticky notes up on the whiteboard, then really make it 3 minutes and don't feel the need to fill the silence. I think that also helps.
Excellent. Okay, Chris is asking, what types of opportunities and audiences do you find these alternate approaches best for? SMB, small to mid-sized business versus enterprise, execs versus practitioners?
Definitely more on the mid-market to enterprise segmentation. I think, they're useful at all segmentations, but you're trying to get more volume transactions done at SMB level. So you really do need to streamline what it is you do out of all of that. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting a good cost of sale return on that customer engagement. So really be looking at what you're doing there. I think that the different tactics work with different levels of stakeholders in the organization. I've done a fair few design thinking workshops where we've had key executives come in, but they won't participate for the full thing. They're coming in for the first 30 minutes, or they're coming in for the last 30 minutes. So there is where you would need practitioners, for example. I think that when you're trying to really understand what an entity is trying to do and achieve, so the vision and goals, is definitely at the executive level rather than practitioner or user level.
Thank you. All right, this one's from Carrie. We're currently trying, but we find that by the time SCs get involved with the customer, they're tired of talking through the SC has the product knowledge to really unearth and match needs. So how do we, one, get prospects to talk, and two, not give them a discovery fatigue?
Right. I have been experimenting with the thought of blending that Harbour Tour cruise with a discovery session, because I know that customers are very impatient these days, and especially if it's taken a while through the qualification process to get an SE engaged with that customer, it can be incredibly frustrating. So can we take an approach? I'm going to throw this out there. Can we take an approach where you start a demo, you do a little bit of a teaser, but then you stop and you say, is this resonating with you? Is this something that you are interested in pursuing any further? Does this actually help solve your business challenge? So you do 15, 20 minutes of something just to show, but then you're stopping because you're going into discovery mode. And then depending on, and this relies on you being a very nimble and flexible SE, because depending on what the customer then tells you will depend on where you're going to go next within that Harbour cruise. The downside of this is that you haven't created a personalized demo. So you might not have any of their specific workflows. You might not, nothing is tailored for them in the use cases that you should have uncovered as part of discovery. But I think it does give a teaser. If you can fill the hour that they've given you for that with that blend of let's take the cruise round the harbour with that discovery, then I think you can earn the credibility and the trust at that point. It gives you the right to come back for more after.
And Robert's asking, what % of the time would you dedicate to a Harbour tour? Say 20, more or less, 20%?
I would, the less demo that you can show early on, the better. That's always been my mantra. The less that you're in a solution to start with, the more that you're listening to the customer and that you're doing those other techniques, the easier it is. I mean, we've just been through a couple of cycles at Zendesk where we took that approach, and the customer has selected us without even seeing the product right now, because we've been doing those types of engagements, and they trust us as a business partner to get the job done. Lots of customer reference selling, lots of whiteboarding, lots of business case building, and mapping those objectives together. So I know it's possible. I did it many times throughout my SAP career as well. But it's earning that right early on in the cycle to do it. And it's having the battle with the AE to make sure that you've got that access to be able to do something a little different rather than jumping straight to the demo.
Nice. Gautam is asking, what would be a good framework for storytelling for SCs? What makes a good story from a technical sales perspective?
So a good story has got the elements that I identified, so that you put some characters in it, make sure you've got a conflict or a challenge, and make sure you've got what that resolution was. And if you're doing that storytelling through customer references or use cases, so much the better, because now you're bringing in that third-party validation on top of it. If you can make it personal, so if you've done your LinkedIn stalking and you've worked out that customer A is he does a lot of volunteer work, for example, with a specific charity. If you can bring in elements of something that is very personal to the person that you're interacting with, it really does help. So you want you definitely need the conflict or challenge and the resolution associated with it. It's that typical story arc.
All right, last call for questions for Sara. Thank you so much. That was great. All right.
That's awesome.
Yes, it
right
is.
within time.
It's great timing. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sara. Let's wrap things up. So we want to remind everyone about our DemoFest game, where each session you attend and each session feedback survey you fill out gets you points to win some pretty great prizes. We're very excited to bring DemoFest on the road again as DemoFest X. We had a great time in San Francisco in March. Can't wait to bring the event to Dublin, London, and New York City later this year. You can register to join us at any of these events at demofest.com, which is also at the link in the Docs tab on the right of your screen. We also encourage you to stop by our expo hall to visit our premier partners of DemoFest. Remember, there's no transfer of money involved in this event, so all our partners here have gone above and beyond to contribute to making this event a success for all of you. So thank you so much for joining us for the Art of Selling Without Showing, and thank you again, Sara, for that valuable insight, knowledge, and presentation. On the screen are your upcoming sessions. You will automatically be pushed to the next session in your track, and you can switch tracks or sessions by toggling to the Agenda tab at the top left of your screen. And we will see you soon. Thank you again, Sara.
Thank you, Crystal. Thanks, everybody.